So I've never actually worked for anyone else. I've always done my own thing. And I had my very first business card when I was 12 years old. And for over 20 years, I've been in all types of businesses. And the journey has been a journey of development and evolution. Because for years, all I could think about was starting a business. It was something I was very enthusiastic about. I spoke to hundreds of thousands of people over the years at different conferences about starting a business. And there were TV shows on starting a business and newspaper articles on starting a business. And I even wrote books about starting a business. I wrote this 17 years ago now, all about how to sack your boss and start your own business. And I was just looking at the back, and so John Harvey Jones gave me a testimonial for it, saying that it's the first steps towards independence. But anyone who started a business knows that, in actual fact, the word independence is very, very far from actually what it's really like. In fact, you probably feel more trapped starting a business than you do working for someone else. You just don't turn off. But I went through this business startup phase. I was very enthusiastic about this, and then I discovered the huge benefits of building a business that someone else wants to buy from you because it does for them what they want it to do. And in the case of a major business that I sold about 10 years ago, it was set up, it was producing revenue, it had a track record, and 10 years later it's still producing revenue, still has the track record. So then I started talking to people about the benefits of selling businesses, and then I started buying businesses, and then I realized it took me a while for the penny to drop and the light bulb to come on, but actually the combination of buying and selling is the magical combination. And owning a business that you can sell is the key to financial independence. And sometimes all it takes is one deal. You only need one deal to change your life, one multi-million-pound deal, and you could say, I'm not going to do anything for the next 10 years if you were so inclined. But it took me a while to reach this realization because no one else is saying it. There are very, very few books on the subject. There are very, very few people around the world speaking on the subject, because the people who are buying and selling businesses and making small fortunes doing so usually keep it to themselves. Now, I ran a training company for 7 or 8 years, so it's very natural for me to stand in front of an audience and teach people how to do things. And I really enjoy teaching people from the experiences that I've had to stop them making the mistakes that I made. And the fundamental error that so many people make with a business is they just create another job for themselves. There is a massive difference between running a business and owning a business. And I emphasize to everyone who goes through the Dealmakers Academy that you want to be owning the business. You don't want to be running the business. Running the business is hard work. Running the business is everything from answering the phone to answering the door of the office, to sign for the delivery, to invoice the customers, to deal with the problems, and all of those things. And that isn't fun. No one gets into business to do paperwork and administration. Owning the business is a lot more fun because you can do the bits that you want to do, which typically for most business owners are the big picture things. Maybe it's representing the company, maybe it's chairing the board, maybe it's setting the strategy, maybe it's thinking about the marketing, maybe it's these bigger picture things where you let the detail, which typically are the things that are quite hard work and a little bit humdrum, to the manager of the business. So being the business owner, knowing that you own the business, sets you free, but also it creates more value in the business, because when you come to sell the business, you don't go with it. The manager does, you don't, which is why most businesses are unsaleable, because the owner is also the manager. So you take out the owner and you've taken out the manager, and what have you got? Not very much left over. So at these seminars, I'm going to be showing you a process of how to buy a business, then how to fix the business to take it up to the next level, and then how to sell the business. So it's a complete end-to-end process, and it takes place in 12 steps. And I break it down in such a way, and I enjoy teaching this in a way that everyone understands. It doesn't matter even if you've never had a business, owned a business. It doesn't matter whether you've been in business for 30 years. It makes no difference. I'm going to take you through the process in such a way and break it down step by step that it becomes absolute child's play to follow. And as a result of this seminar, you can take what you've learned, you can take your notes, and you can apply them. And you can go out and you can find a business that you can buy for very, very little of your own money, if nothing at all. I'll give you examples where I've bought a multi-million pound turnover business for just £1. And I'll give you examples where there's been some money paid up front, but it's been funded by the assets of the business. And I'll show you how to do this in such a way that you don't dip into your own bank account. You don't have to borrow money that's with a personal guarantee or linked to your property or anything like that. I won't let you do that. I won't allow you to do that. I'll show you the way it should be done so that you limit your personal liability. You can buy a business that's much larger than the business that you currently own, perhaps, without putting any of your own money down. And then I'm going to show you how to fix it. Now, fixing it might be, is a business that's run into some problems. And it's interesting because business problems are all a matter of perspective. So what you consider to be the biggest problem that you can't solve and keeps you awake at night, the person sitting next to you at the seminar will have the solution for that you never thought of. So when you buy a business that has problems, that's someone else's problems. Now that's great because you're going to be getting a discounted price because you're buying the problems as well. But I'll show you how to fix the most common problems. And you know what? Most of this is just common sense. So we'll take a common sense approach. We'll fix the problems. And as a result of fixing the problems, we increase the value. So I took one business that I bought with lots of problems and I sold it 11 months later. And in fact, actually 11 months was probably about 3 or 4 months longer than it should have taken if there weren't for a few little issues along the way. But it was actually an 11-month process, which for most people would consider that a 7-figure return in less than 12 months is pretty good. And of course it is. No one's going to turn that down. That's a fantastic outcome. And I'll show you exactly how I did it. I'll show you how you can copy it. Because with all of this, there's a process. And if I just give you the process and you copy the process, you'll get the same result. So I'll just tell you what to do and you go out and do it. Now, maybe as a result of us meeting each other and getting to know each other, you want to do it with me. We want to work together and we go out and we find a deal and we work on it together in some way and we pool our skills and our resources. But you can actually leave the seminar and do it all by yourself. You don't need anyone else. And also, and this is a great advantage to this type of deal making, it's not really a full-time occupation. So let me explain to you how the process would typically work. You identify a business that you're going to buy. Now, you might have to kiss a few frogs to find the prince or the princess, but finding that one business is a bit of a part-time occupation because you will find that you'll be using social media and some of the marketing techniques I'll explain to you to get people to come to you. And they won't all come on the same morning, that's what I'm saying. They'll come over a period of time. For example, I'm picking up voice messages today from a letter that I sent some businesses a week ago. So a week later, people are still phoning and leaving messages for me. And these messages are all saying the same thing. I received your letter. I'm interested in selling my business. Would you please call me back? So then you call them back, you have a conversation with them. I've got this all scripted out. I'll show you exactly what to say. You don't have to make this up as you go along. And then you'll go and meet them. There's maybe a little bit of paperwork called a non-disclosure agreement in between. And I'll show you what needs to go in that non-disclosure agreement. And then you'll go and meet them for a coffee, usually in a hotel foyer or a Costa. And you sit and have a chat. And I'll tell you what to say during that conversation as well. And then you're going to have a look at the business. Typically, when you look at the business, you'll pretend to be a customer or a contractor or someone, certainly not the person who might be their new boss. So you're going to have a look around the business. And then you're going to look at some of the books and records of the business so you can formulate an offer. And I'll show you how to do this because you don't want to pay too much and you want to pay a fair price as well. You want to create a situation where the person who's selling you the business is happy with the outcome. You want to create a situation where you've got the very best possible price and the very best possible structure. And I'll show you some very popular deal structures. I'll show you how to structure it in such a way where, as I've already said, minimum amount of money at the front, payment terms over a period of time, but a deal that makes that everyone involved happy with the outcome. And then I'll show you how to do all the legals and the financials to close the deal. It's a little bit like buying a house. You get a solicitor involved, and I'll show you how you do that and maybe point you in the direction of people who can help you. And then as a result of owning the business, what do you do on day one? What do you do for the next 3 months? How do you fix it? How do you build up? So I'll take you through an entire process. I'll take you through it step by step. And I'll break it down into bite-sized chunks. So you really can follow this 12-step plan, section by section by section by section. And the result is you start off with not having a business, and you end up with a business that you've bought, fixed, and sold. And you might sell a business for a few $100,000, you might sell them for $1 million plus. It depends where your ambitions are and the size of the business that you buy. But that's essentially the process that we're going to be looking at. And we're going to be doing it in such a way that everyone can follow. I'm not going to race ahead. I'm going to take it step by step, answer questions along the way, because I want you to leave this day feeling inspired. I want you to leave this day feeling as though here is a new skill set that you didn't have before you walked in the morning. And it's a skill set that can apply to different situations. So maybe you own a business already. Well, here's a great way of increasing the value of your business very quickly. Buy out your competitors, buy complementary businesses. In fact, during the seminar, I'm going to give you a case study of how I had a business that I doubled in value in the space of a week by buying out our nearly bust competitor. And I met them on a Monday morning. I'd signed all the documents on the Friday afternoon. And I took over the following Monday morning. So 7 days start to finish to owning my competitor. And all I did was divert their phones through to my office, divert their website traffic through to our website, close their office down, so I didn't have any of those costs at all, and we doubled the value of the business. So if you own a business already and you find that marketing is a slow process, one Facebook ad at a time, one new customer at a time, I'll show you how to accelerate that process. Maybe you don't own a business. Maybe you're thinking of starting a business. Well, most startups fail. Why spend years of your life doing something that could fail? Why not find a business that's in the same market, sells to the similar customers in the same field, and buy that business, and then take all those new, fresh ideas that you've got and bolt those into an existing business? It mitigates the risk, and it means that you've got cash flow from day one, where most businesses don't make any money for years. So I'll show you how to do that. Maybe you want to buy the business that you work for. Maybe you work for a company and you think, you know what if I could buy this company? I could run it better than my boss. Well, I'll show you how to approach your boss in such a way that they won't be offended, and I'll show you a way to structure a deal that your boss will be happy with and you'll be happy with as well. Maybe you're entrepreneurially minded and you think this is the next big thing. I've done property investment, I've done Forex trading, I've tried the stock market stuff. It's okay, but I want something else. I want a new asset class to invest in. Well, invest in businesses. Have a portfolio of businesses. And here's the rule. The rule is that you can take out £10,000 a month from each business. So you want a business that can produce £10,000 a month in consultancy fees to you every single month. So if you've got 2 businesses, total of £20,000 a month. 5 businesses, £50,000 a month. You can do the mathematics. You can work it out for yourself. Having a portfolio of businesses is a wonderful way to build really good cash flow. But also, when you've got a cash flowing asset, that's worth something to someone else. So let's say you want to move house and you need a lump sum of money to put down as a larger deposit or to top up the money that you already have. Well, look at your assets, look at your businesses and say, you know what, we're going to sell this one. I'll show you how to sell it. I'll show you how to sell it quickly. I'll show you how to sell it without a broker. I've used brokers and I haven't used brokers, and I'll show you the very best combination of the two so you get a sale quickly at the price that you want. And then you've liquidated an asset, but you've still got 3 or 4 additional business assets. So what happens? You want to build up your portfolio again. You go and buy another business and so on.